So how many of you have seen the TechCrunch episode of Silicon Valley? How many of you have said in front of an audience that you want to make the world a better place with your technology? It's okay. We've all done it. Well, consider this an intervention. Let's commit to not, for at least the rest of the day, to claim that we're going to make the world a better place with our technology. The reason why I want us to do this is that I think we have gotten caught up. As Elizabeth Bishop, the American poet, says, bright objects hypnotize the mind. We've been hypnotized by our bright objects and our perception of their potential social benefit. And I want to say, that happened to me too. Back in 2010, George Clooney and part of the cast of Ocean's 11 came to me and my colleagues at the Harvard Humanitarian Initiative and asked us to build a bright, shiny object. And this bright, shiny object became the Satellite Sentinel project, which was our effort to use high-resolution, what you would call spy satellites, to monitor, to detect threats to civilians in Sudan. And I thought my job then was to build the world of tomorrow. But actually, that wasn't my job at all. My job was to prevent, to stop from building Jurassic Park. And you don't have to be using satellites to look at mass graves or burning villages in Sudan to have that same responsibility. Let me give you an example. A colleague of mine at an organization in an unnamed, for security reasons, European country built a map app to document, to report attacks on the LGBT community in this country by skinheads in the past 2-3 years. This app was going to help protect people. At the end of the day, what it ended up doing is providing a direct map for skinheads to find where the LGBT population was in this country and to better target them. The app itself, built by the LGBT community, put people in the hospital. So at the end of the day, what do we do with that? How do we move from making the world a better place to trying not to make it Jurassic Park to not being so depressed by my talk that we just sit in a hotel room with a bottle of whiskey and razor blades? How do we move to a positive vision for tech in the world? Well, the problem is we don't have rules. We don't have guidance. And that's what we found with Satellite Sentinel. We didn't have guidance for how we should responsibly, morally use this technology. So I got depressed too. But then I started reading, as we all do, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And what I found there is two things. And what they equal is what I contend is a right to technology. So the first thing is that there's this thing called Article 3. It's a really important one. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. But what I realized through Satellite Sentinel is that Article 3, it's actually related to Article 27. Everyone has the right to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. That is a right to technology. It's a right to innovation. It's, in fact, a right to startups. But how do we measure the realization of that right? We do it by looking at the vulnerability of populations. Does our technology make them more vulnerable or less vulnerable? Does our technology create data equity? Do people have more equal access to data? Does our technology create, does it remove barriers to access along gender, ethnicity, economic status? Is it sustainable for populations? Can they continue to use it? High-resolution satellites, not sustainable. And the last point, is it based on the needs of the population, or is it based on what we want to do with our technology and the money we want to make, that we're giving it to certain people to use? These are the questions that are going to occupy us throughout the 21st century. The right to technology and the responsible use of it is the defining issue of our time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.